In House of Payne, the Payne family always managed to survive chaos with laughter and heartfelt lessons. But when the cameras stopped rolling, their real lives were far less warm. One rebuilt their entire life through plastic surgery, one passed away in silence, and, unexpectedly, a minor background actor soared into Hollywood A-list fame. What changed them so drastically after 19 years? Join us as we uncover the stories behind the scenes and honor the legacies they left behind. LaVan Davis as Curtis Payne. LaVan Davis was born on October 21, 1966, in Atlanta, Georgia. At 40 years old, he played Curtis Payne, a stubborn, widowed, retired fire chief, in House of Payne in 2006. His role as the grumbling patriarch marked the turning point of his career. Despite the laughter he created on screen, Davis's private life was defined by years of isolation. He never married, and the longer he worked, the more suffocating the loneliness became. Behind the cameras, he ate alone, traveled alone, and returned to an empty home after filming days that stretched into the night. The pressure worsened when critics accused him of being nothing without Tyler Perry, a label that humiliated him so deeply he nearly quit acting after season 8. The emotional damage grew heavier with each passing year. While his co-stars celebrated families and milestones, Davis faced the painful reality that fame had cost him any chance at a stable relationship. He once admitted privately that waking up without a partner for 20 years felt like a wound that never healed. Even during career highs like his NAACP Image Award, he struggled with the fear that he was only valued for one character and would be discarded when the show ended. Today, LaVan Davis is 59 years old and continues filming the House of Payne revival while living an extremely private, solitary life. His estimated net worth of $8 million reflects 2 decades of work almost entirely tied to Tyler Perry Studios, the same career that made him famous but left him carrying the weight of profound loneliness. Cassie Davis as Ella Payne. Cassie Davis was born on July 31, 1964, in Holly Springs, Mississippi. At 40 years old, she played Ella Payne, the calm, religious anchor of the chaotic Payne household, in House of Payne in 2006. Her steady presence became the foundation of her career revival. But behind the gentle warmth of Ella was a woman who spent decades longing for a stable love life. Cassie reunited with Gary Patton in 2007, yet their 10-year relationship was defined by waiting, distance, and the fear that her career demands would push him away again. She often spoke about the emotional exhaustion of watching friends marry while she faced year after year of uncertainty, describing it as a quiet pain no one saw. When House of Payne ended in 2012, the loss of work collided with that emotional strain, pushing her into a period of near depression as she questioned whether Hollywood had any room left for her beyond one character. Her struggle deepened when she was diagnosed with Bell's palsy in March 2020. The sudden paralysis shocked her, arriving at a moment when she was trying to rebuild her footing in a competitive industry. She hid her condition at first, terrified that casting directors would see her face as a liability. Even as she continued appearing in Tyler Perry's Medea films, every day was a battle against pain, fear, and the pressure to act as if nothing had changed. In 2025, Cassie Davis is 59 years old, still working in the House of Payne revival and living quietly with her husband after finally marrying him in 2017. Her estimated net worth of $6 million comes from decades of Tyler Perry productions and long-term dedication, hard-earned through years of emotional hardship, delayed happiness, and a health battle she continues to manage every day. Alan Payne as C.J. Payne. Alan Payne was born on July 7, 1963, in Harlem, New York. At 43 years old, he played C.J. Payne, the devoted firefighter and exhausted single father in House of Payne in 2006. He anchored the show's most emotional family arcs and became the defining point of his late career success. But behind the camera, Payne's life unraveled in ways he never revealed publicly. His secret marriage to Melissa Ford, begun in 2001, deteriorated under accusations of infidelity, ending in a painful divorce in 2015 that sent him into a long, silent depression. The stress collided with an earlier struggle, his alcohol addiction after New Jack City, 1991. When he abruptly retired in 2012 due to burnout, it wasn't just exhaustion. It was the collapse of a man whose personal life had imploded faster than his career could sustain him. The emotional storm only worsened when he received a prostate cancer diagnosis in 2018. He hid the illness even from close colleagues. The secrecy became its own burden. While filming The Revival years later, he performed through physical pain, sleepless nights, and the dread of a disease he could no longer control. Alan Payne passed away in 2024 at 61 years old from complications of prostate cancer, as confirmed by his family. He left behind one daughter and an estate valued at approximately $10 million, accumulated through decades of film work and his long tenure on House of Payne, Demetria McKinney as Janine Payne. Demetria McKinney was born on August 27, 1979 in Albuquerque, New Mexico. At 27 years old, she played Janine Payne, the troubled wife battling addiction before rebuilding her life, in House of Payne in 2006. Her performance across more than 200 episodes created the series' most powerful redemption arc. It became the role that forever reshaped her career. But McKinney's real life carried wounds that ran even deeper than Janine's storyline. She became a homeless single mother at 17, raising her son Cairo with no financial support and no safety net, a reality that followed her like a scar. Her 10-year on-and-off relationship with Roger M. Bob, a top executive at Tyler Perry Studios, was filled with jealousy, professional imbalance, and constant emotional instability. Their 2016 engagement ended abruptly, leaving her devastated and questioning her own worth. Her next relationship with producer Eric Nilante Phillips also collapsed by 2022, reinforcing her belief that marriage is my deepest wound. Career pressure added another layer to her private suffering. After being fired from The Ricky Smiley Show due to script disputes, she developed anxiety severe enough to impact auditions and live performances. Even as her music career gained traction with Officially Yours, 2017, the emotional cost of her relationships and professional conflicts lingered heavily. In 2025, Demetria McKinney is 46 years old, single, and continuing to work across television and music while raising her son. Her estimated net worth of $2.5 million reflects years of constant recovery, from homelessness, from heartbreak, from career fights, and from the pressure of carrying her real-life trauma into the character that made her famous. Keshia Knight Pulliam as Miranda Lucas Payne. Keshia Knight Pulliam was born on April 9, 1979, in Newark, New Jersey. At 27 years old, she played Miranda Lucas Payne, the ambitious accountant whose sharp tongue, money battles, and explosive fights with Calvin became the emotional fuel of House of Payne. In 2006. Across more than 150 episodes, Miranda's storyline captured the fear of failing in love and the pressure of raising a family in constant conflict. It was a role that demanded intensity at every turn. But the real woman behind Miranda carried wounds even deeper than the character's scripted heartbreak. Pulliam married NFL player Edgerton Hartwell in 2007, believing she had finally found stability, only to face a sudden divorce while pregnant with her daughter, Ella. She described the shock of being abandoned during pregnancy as a pain that tore through my entire life, and the aftermath left her rebuilding trust from the ground up. Even years later, her 2021 marriage to Brad James carried tension rooted in her past. The infidelity, the custody battles, and the fear that history could repeat itself Giving birth to her son in 2024 brought joy, but also reopened memories of the loneliness she endured during her first pregnancy. Her career struggles cut just as deeply. After The Cosby Show, Hollywood refused to see her as anything but Rudy, trapping her in the image of the little girl America adored. When The Cosby scandal exploded in 2015, her entire legacy was dragged through controversy she had no part in. The shame and public backlash pushed her into a period of depression she had to fight through while still showing up for work. In 2025, Keshia Knight Pulliam is 46 years old, raising 2 children while continuing selective acting work and navigating a quieter, more cautious personal life. Her estimated net worth of $4 million comes from decades of persistence, through divorce, public judgment, typecasting, and the emotional toll of carrying a childhood legacy that both lifted and haunted her. Lance Gross as Calvin Payne. Lance Gross was born on July 8, 1981, in Oakland, California. At 25 years old, he played Calvin Payne, the impulsive, flirtatious son who bounced between responsibility and reckless choices. In House of Payne in 2006, his performance brought to life Calvin's immaturity, his struggle to grow up, and his broken marriage to Miranda. He appeared in more than 150 episodes, shaping one of the show's most unpredictable characters. Away from the set, Gross faced emotional turbulence of his own. His relationship with Ava Marcille began with red carpet glamour, but soon collapsed under jealousy, long filming schedules, and arguments that escalated until their engagement ended in 2010. The breakup hit him hard. When he married Rebecca Jefferson in 2015 and became a father, he struggled to balance night shoots, cross-country filming, and the fear that spending too much time away from home would damage his family. The same way career pressure broke his engagement with Eva. His career path was equally painful. After graduating from Howard University, Gross auditioned for major dramatic roles only to be repeatedly rejected with excuses like too young, too clean, or too sitcom. For years, Hollywood only saw him as the playful son from House of Payne, not as a leading man capable of carrying darker, more complex roles. At one point, after losing 3 major auditions in a row, he seriously considered leaving acting altogether, even landing a small role in Dune. Part 2, 2024, came after a decade of pushing against a ceiling built by typecasting, not lack of talent. In 2025, Lance Gross is 44 years old, working steadily while focusing on family life with his wife and 2 children. His estimated net worth of $1.5 million reflects a career built through perseverance. Years of rejection, broken engagements, demanding filming schedules, and the constant pressure of proving he deserved more than the limits Hollywood tried to place on him. Palmer Williams Jr. as Curtis Brown Payne. Palmer Williams Jr. was born on March 23, 1953, in Chicago, Illinois. At 53 years old, he joined House of Payne in 2007 as Curtis Brown Payne, the loud, unpredictable younger brother whose chaotic humor clashed with Curtis's strict personality. His scenes often served as the comedic relief whenever family tensions reached their peak. His recurring presence made Brown one of the show's most recognizable extended family members. But Williams's path to comedy was paved with years of labor and disappointment. Before becoming an actor, he worked physically demanding jobs after leaving his engineering career behind, a decision that plunged his family into financial instability for years. His wife, Marion, whom he married in 1978, stood by him, but the strain of raising 2 children while he struggled to enter show business created long nights of arguments, overdue bills, and the fear that he had gambled his family's security on a dream that might never pay off. Even after landing House of Payne, he continued to carry guilt from those early years. The emotional weight grew heavier when his first film project failed commercially, leaving him feeling responsible for the financial losses that followed. Though his marriage remained intact, he often admitted privately that the pressure to be the provider never left him, even when his acting career finally stabilized. And as he aged, health risks became harder to ignore. When COVID-19 hit in 2020, his weakened condition and age put him in immediate danger. Finally, Palmer Williams Jr. died in 2020 at 67 years old from COVID-19 complications, as reported by Variety. He left behind his wife, 2 children, and an estate valued at roughly $1 million, the sum of a late-blooming career gained only after decades of sacrifice, financial fear, and a final battle he never had the strength to escape. Larramie Doc Shaw as Malik Payne. Larramie Doc Shaw was born on May 24, 1993, in Atlanta, Georgia. At 13 years old, he played Malik Payne, the mischievous, academically stressed eldest son whose sarcastic comebacks disguised the confusion of growing up in a chaotic household, in House of Payne in 2006. Appearing in more than 200 episodes, Malik's journey from troublemaking kid to young father mirrored Doc Shaw's own transition from childhood into adulthood. But the pressures behind the scenes were far heavier than Malik's scripted problems. Shaw spent his teenage years juggling school deadlines with long filming hours, leaving him exhausted and socially isolated. The constant demand to perform eventually triggered mild depression, a struggle he kept hidden to avoid derailing his rising career. Being typecast after Pair of Kings limited opportunities, leaving him stuck between wanting to grow and being trapped by the roles that made him famous. His personal life grew more complicated when he married his longtime partner, Keshia, in 2022 and welcomed a child in secret. The couple deliberately hid their relationship to avoid paparazzi attention, but the secrecy came with a cost. Maintaining 2 separate lives created constant tension, misunderstandings, and the fear that exposure could damage both his marriage and his child's sense of safety. In 2025, Doc Shaw is 32 years old, continuing to work in television while dedicating most of his time to his wife and child. His estimated net worth of $1 million reflects a career that began early, but was shaped by emotional burnout, hidden depression, and the intense pressure of shouldering adult responsibility long before he was ready. China. Anne McClain as Jasmine Payne. China Anne McClain was born on August 25, 1998, in Atlanta, Georgia. At just 8 years old, she played Jasmine Payne, the sharp, outspoken daughter whose honesty often cut through the chaos of the Payne household, in House of Payne in 2006. Her intelligence and comic timing made Jasmine the unexpected voice of reason in moments when the adults spiraled into arguments. But behind Jasmine's confidence was a young girl dealing with painful changes at home. In 2015, her parents' divorce struck her during her most vulnerable teenage years, disrupting her stability just as her career entered a demanding period. She often carried the emotional weight of trying to stay professional on set while privately processing a family suddenly split in 2. As she transitioned into Disney stardom, the constant expectation to smile and perform made the loneliness of that breakup even harder. Her career brought its own battles. Moving from child roles into adult acting proved far more difficult than audiences realized, and she faced constant pressure to reinvent herself without losing the fans who knew her as a kid. This struggle triggered stage anxiety, the fear of disappointing millions who had watched her grow up, and she often admitted that performing live became one of the hardest parts of her job. Despite her success on A&T Farm and the Descendants franchise, each new project came with the silent question of whether Hollywood would ever let her grow beyond childhood. Today, China. Anne McClain is 27 years old, single, and focused on acting, music, and online creative work after years of emotional transition. Her estimated net worth of $2 million reflects a career built through childhood fame, the strain of a broken home, and the ongoing challenge of rebuilding confidence in an industry that rarely allows child stars to breathe. Bobbi Baker as Kiki. Bobbi Baker was born on July 8, 1981, in Raleigh, North Carolina. At 27 years old, she joined House of Payne in 2008 as Kiki, the sharp-tongued, stylish hairdresser whose blunt honesty and fierce independence brought fire to every scene. Kiki quickly became one of the show's most memorable supporting characters, adding humor and attitude to the Payne family's everyday problems. Yet Baker's real life held far more emotional weight than her confident on-screen persona. Her marriage to former Duke basketball captain Nate James in 2007 began with promise, but soon collided with the stress of two demanding careers. The pressure of raising a child while her husband traveled and she fought for stability as a young actress created periods of strain, miscommunication, and long stretches of separation. Her artistic journey was equally heavy. Coming from Juilliard, Baker entered Hollywood only to face the harsh reality that prestige didn't guarantee roles. Being a black actress meant constant battles with typecasting, underrepresentation, and limited opportunities, all of which weighed on her mentally as she struggled to prove her worth. Landing House of Payne was a breakthrough, but every step afterward required pushing through stress, rejection, and the fear of disappearing in an industry that rarely protects newcomers. Now, Bobbi Baker is 44 years old, continuing her work on Tyler Perry's Ruthless while balancing family life. Her estimated net worth of $1 million reflects years of resilience. Denise Burse as Clara Jenkins. Denise Burse was born on February 18, 1952, in Detroit, Michigan. At 54 years old, she joined House of Payne in 2006 as Clara Jenkins, Ella's blunt, witty best friend who often delivered the hard truths no one else dared to say. Her recurring presence added maturity and sharp humor to the show's family conflicts. But her personal life carried wounds that never fully healed. Her first marriage fell apart in the 1980s when infidelity shattered her trust, forcing her to rebuild emotionally and financially at a time when roles for black actresses were limited. When she remarried in 1995, she finally found stability, only to lose her husband in 2010 to cancer, a grief that pushed her into depression she kept hidden from colleagues. Those losses shaped her performances, giving Clara's humor a quiet undercurrent of sorrow. Her career brought its own set of battles. Transitioning from Broadway and regional theater into television meant facing harsh age discrimination the moment she entered Hollywood. Casting directors repeatedly overlooked her for younger faces, leaving her trapped in a cycle of auditions where talent mattered less than age. Even after earning attention for her appearance in Black Mirror, 2019, the uphill fight against industry bias remained constant, turning each role into a hard-won victory. Now, Denise Burse is 73 years old, continuing to act while living a quiet life shaped by the loss of 2 marriages and decades of industry battles. Her estimated net worth of $500,000 reflects a career of perseverance, built slowly, painfully, and with far fewer opportunities than she deserved. Quinn Walters as Laura. Quinn Walters was born on July 2, 1982, in the United States. At 25 years old, she appeared in House of Payne in 2007 as Laura, the sharp, emotionally guarded woman whose complicated dynamic with Calvin added tension and unpredictability to the later seasons. Her character brought a mix of vulnerability and ambition, shifting the tone whenever she entered a scene. Her personal life, however, carried far more turmoil than the role she played. Walters married Addison Henderson in 2010, but the relationship dissolved in 2016 after repeated conflicts about careers, long-distance obligations, and the strain of 2 ambitious people fighting to stay connected. The divorce left her emotionally emptied, forcing her to confront the reality that her private life was fracturing just as her professional momentum was rising. Even after the split, she often described that period as a silence that followed me everywhere. Her career offered opportunity, but also pressure, transitioning into larger roles, including her widely recognized performance in Churchy, demanded emotional stamina that she sometimes struggled to maintain during her divorce aftermath, as she navigated auditions, rejections, and the constant pressure to prove herself beyond Tyler Perry Productions, Walters admitted that anxiety became a frequent companion. Still, she pushed forward, determined to rebuild without letting the wounds of her failed marriage define her. Today, Quinn Walters is 43 years old and continuing her work as a series regular on Churchy and other projects. Her estimated net worth of $1 million reflects a career forged through independence, emotional recovery, and the long climb from personal heartbreak to professional stability. Cedric Pendleton as Keenan. Cedric Pendleton was born on December 5, 1973, in Florence, Alabama. At 33 years old, he joined House of Payne in 2006 as Keenan, the level-headed, quietly observant presence whose calmness often contrasted with the chaos of the Payne family. His role brought a grounded energy to the episodes he appeared in, showing a steadier, more introspective side to the extended cast. But Pendleton's personal journey was marked by battles that audiences never saw. His marriage to Addison Henderson began with promise, yet eventually crumbled under the weight of career conflicts, financial pressure, and the emotional exhaustion that comes with two partners chasing demanding artistic paths. The split left him questioning every choice he had made. That period of his life reshaped him, turning ambition into something quieter and more cautious. Professionally, Pendleton fought a different kind of struggle. Though deeply talented, he was constantly pulled between acting, producing, and creative leadership, often overextending himself just to keep opportunities alive. The intensity of working across film, theater, television, and executive production left him physically drained, and the pressure to provide for himself while rebuilding after divorce triggered long cycles of stress. Even his major successes, Diary of a Mad Black Woman, The Shield, The Guardian, and dozens more, were achieved while he was silently carrying personal turmoil. Now, Cedric Pendleton is 52 years old and continues acting, producing, and touring educational programs across the country. Using his experience to mentor and guide young performers, his estimated net worth of $3 million reflects decades of work spread across more than 40 productions. Joyce Giraud as Angel. Joyce Giraud was born on April 4, 1975, in Aguas Buenas, Puerto Rico. At 32 years old, she joined House of Payne in 2007 as Angel, the striking, glamorous woman whose presence stirred tension and jealousy within the Payne household. Angel's confidence and beauty brought a new dynamic to the show, often challenging the emotional balance of key characters. But behind the elegance and pageant titles, Giraud's personal journey was shaped by exhaustion and pressure few ever saw. Years of beauty competitions. Miss World 1994, Miss Universe Puerto Rico, Miss Universe 1998, left her constantly scrutinized, judged on appearance, and pushed toward perfection she could never rest from. Even as she found success in acting, the scars of those years remained. Her marriage to producer Michael Ohoven brought stability, yet it also came with a demanding Hollywood lifestyle that forced her to balance motherhood, fame, and relentless public expectation. Her career shifted from modeling to acting, then to producing. Breaking out of the beauty queen stereotype was a battle she faced for decades, and even after joining the Real Housewives of Beverly Hills, she faced public criticism, cultural bias, and the emotional strain of becoming the first Latina cast member on a show known for brutal interpersonal drama. Today, Joyce Giraud is 50 years old, still working as an actress, producer, and philanthropist while raising her two sons. Her estimated net worth of $2 million reflects a life built from discipline, reinvention, and the emotional toll of years spent surviving both pageant culture and Hollywood scrutiny. After nearly 2 decades of triumphs, tragedies, and unbelievable transformations, which of these stories shocked you the most? If you want to uncover more hidden truths behind your favorite shows, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the bell so you never miss a new video.